This is Ritu Teharia. Again, I'll say I hope you guys are staying well and keeping well on health. So stay safe because things are getting messier every day. But the good thing is, today I'm going to chit chat with a very inspiring, wonderful, lively person. And to be honest, the most fittest person I personally know and I've ever seen. Our country's very own Iron Man, Major General Vikram Dev Dogra. And it feels so proud to say that he's the only general in the world and the first serving Indian Army officer to do the Ironman challenge twice. So, hi, General Dogra, how are you?
Hi Ritu, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Your journey has been really inspiring, be your military journey, be your Ironman journey. So let's start from the beginning. Uh, if I'm not wrong, even in your military days, you set the record. You were the only cadet who passed out with the highest number of medals.
Yes, that's a fact. I passed out in 1981
Yeah.
and I had got the Sword of Honor, the gold medal, and also four other awards, which were like best in drill, best in physical fitness, that was a para medal.
Yeah.
I got the best in shooting, and I also got a medal for being first in those who were commissioned into the Armored Corps. So that made it six. And I was told that it's a record that no cadet before me had ever got six medals when they passed out.
Exactly, that's a fantastic start of the journey itself. And then you joined the very elite regiment, Pune Horse.
I was so, enthralled by this regiment, the Pune Horse, uh,
Uh-huh.
with two Paramveer Chakras, and it has the maximum number of battle honors in the entire Commonwealth of Nations. So I thought that was the dream regiment to join, so I opted for the regiment. And when I joined it, I can, put it on record to say that it was not uh, a, even a digit below what I had heard about it.
Oh my
The
goodness.
officers, the men, the environment, the history, everything was out of the world. It was a perfect regiment to join.
All right. So, if we talk about a particular moment from your military journey, which has been really exciting, challenging, whole roller coaster ride. So, if I talk about a particular moment, which one is the most happiest moment of your military journey?
Happiest is, it's very difficult to put your finger onto one single event to say this is the happiest event. Probably the happiest event in my life was when I cleared something called the Staff College examination.
Okay.
It is an examination which is a competitive examination that you prepare for when you are somewhere in the age group of about 32 years of age. And it is a mandatory course if you have to rise in the army. It's like,
Uh-huh.
they say that it's a course that separates the men from the boys.
Uh-huh.
And you have to study a lot because the syllabus for the competitive exam is very vast.
Yeah.
And I had been working very, very hard, very, very hard. And when the results came out, uh, and I got a competitive vacancy. So competitive is that you are in the first 20 of those who have uh, cleared. So
Yeah.
when I got the competitive vacancy, it was a great day for me. I mean, I was very, very excited. So I think that was one single moment when I was the happiest in my journey.
Okay, that's very wonderful and really inspiring. So, and if you talk about the most emotional moment,
The most emotional moment for me probably was when I was approved to take over command of the regiment which I joined in. That was
uh-huh.
the Pune Horse.
Yeah,
So that was one day when I was really, really, emotional. And another one was the day when I hung up my boots. After almost 38 years in the army, the last day when I took the salute from a guard of honor which had come from the Pune Horse
yeah.
uh, to where I was serving in Delhi. And at about 1 o'clock, when I came out of office, all the farewells in office had been done. All those garlanding was done and the farewells there, the goodbyes. These people were lined up outside. I didn't know they've come. So they
Okay.
were lined up outside and they gave me a salute out there. And that was another day when, I had tears in my eyes at the emotion which was coming up at that moment. Yeah.
That's indeed a very emotional moment for every army officer out there when it's your last day in the uniform, you have to hang your boots. So it's indeed very emotional. So, you know, everything was going well. You have excelled like anything in your military journey, like since beginning and towards the end, everything went well. But suddenly, after 35 years, a moment came, the guy, the brave soldier general who was doing so well, who served like anything for 35 years, suddenly got broke, suddenly got introvert and lost his self-esteem. I mean, I heard one of your talk where you were really vocal about this, and which is really courageous, you know, when you're vocal about your lower phases. So what happened exactly?
Yes, I think it was low in my life where, it was the moment when I was uh, to be approved from Major General to the last rank, which we have called the Lieutenant General.
Yeah,
And I had put in 35 years at that time, and I had done exceedingly well in all my courses and everywhere else where I'd served. And when the results came out and I was not approved, I, of course, everybody feels bad when there is disappointment, but that was not what I felt bad about. I felt that I was a lesser person.
yeah,
I started losing my own self-esteem. In my eyes, I was low on confidence because I thought maybe there was something wrong with me.
yeah. You
Although
believe
I knew the
yourself.
reasons, but
Yeah,
that something which I felt was wrong with me made me into an introvert. I stopped meeting people. I started avoiding parties. I felt, in a lot of pain, uh, considering myself to have come to a position in my
yeah.
own eyes, in my eyes, that I was, not good enough to go up.
But
And
sorry
that,
to interrupt, you were the person who topped all his courses with alpha grading. You were that kind of person, and it's very disheartening to hear that you turned out like this all of a sudden. Introvert, you almost caged yourself.
well, yes, it did happen. And that was something, like I'm saying, was the low part in my life. And it carried on for 2, 3 months till
Yeah,
I realized that I had to do something about it. I couldn't allow myself to decay like this. I was putting it bluntly, I was decaying.
yeah,
So therefore, I started looking around for some kind of a challenge, something big, which if I could do that, I would, regain my own confidence and I would get back my self-esteem. And that is how I started looking around. I found this event called the Iron Man.
uh-huh.
And when you look at the Iron Man event, and at the age of 58, if you're going to do the Iron Man, it's a huge
Yeah,
challenge. And so I
yeah.
said, let me take it on.
And taking such a challenge with, with when at that phase when you were so low, when you had lost your self-esteem, and still you had that courage that no, I want to do this, I want to do the Ironman. And I guess Mathura was your last posting. I'm highlighting this because that's my hometown.
No, Mathura was not my last posting. Mathura
Okay,
was my posting when this was happening to me.
okay,
When I was going through this journey of what I've just described, I was posted at Mathura that time. And I started my training for the Ironman in Mathura. But
okay,
thereafter, in March of 2018, I was posted to Delhi.
okay, okay.
And there, so I had moved to Delhi, and then the Ironman I did was in July. So March to July for the preparation, I was in Delhi. Prior to that, it was all in Mathura.
Okay, so before we start your Ironman journey, I want you to do a short brief about what Ironman triathlon is, because many people in the country are still unaware about this challenge. So just do a short brief, please.
So it's a triathlon,
Yeah,
and as the word triathlon, means there are three events. You have to
yeah,
swim, cycle, and run. Uh, the swimming is 3.8 kilometers, and
yeah,
normally it is done either in the sea or in a huge lake. After you finish the swim, you get onto your cycle and you
yeah.
cycle 180 kilometers. And
Okay,
this cycling event is normally in undulating terrain where there is an elevation. So where I did it in Austria, we gained an elevation of 6,000 feet during this 180 kilometers.
that's
And
huge.
yeah, So that makes it more challenging. So, and the moment you finish your cycling, you change into your running shoes and you go for a 42.2 kilometer full marathon run. And you have to finish all these 3 events within 17 hours. And if you complete it within 17 hours, then you are titled Ironman.
Oh God, that's really challenging, really challenging. So if I ask you, like be it swimming, running, and cycling, these 3 events are involved in the triathlon. So which one was toughest for you?
All were tough. Let me tell you.
Totally, but still,
And
if you had to choose
a lot of
one,
people ask me, which one am I best at? I'm
yeah,
good at none.
yeah,
So I think I just trained very hard. But if now in hindsight I was to talk about which is the toughest, it is the
yeah,
cycling. It is the cycling
uh-huh,
because it's 180 kilometers. And like I told you, there is a lot of elevation.
yeah.
It takes you between 6 to 7 hours on a cycle to complete this distance. And it's the toughest. And it's the make and break of whether you're going to become an Ironman or you're not going to become.
You picked the Ironman challenge at the age of 58. You know, you decided that yes, now I want to do Ironman challenge. In a way, you were breaking the stereotypes, to be honest. So when we do something in our society, like we are moving towards our dream, towards our goal, we are trying to break the stereotype. So there are some people who try to pull you down, you know, who try to criticize. Like for example, in your case, there must be people, okay, General Saab, theek hai, you're towards the end of your career. So now just sit back and relax. Why to get into this? Were there things like this?
Of course. Of course. You know, so when I told people whom I knew that I want to do the Ironman,
Yeah,
99% of them discouraged me from doing so. And they
yeah,
gave various reasons that you're too old, you know, this is not the time for you to do it. You'll probably meet with a heart attack. Uh, my family supported me, but I'm talking of people outside. They all
yeah.
discouraged me. They all discouraged me. So it was a challenge to convince myself that, you know, with so many people telling you that it's too late to do it and stuff like that, it takes a
Yeah.
little bit of convincing yourself that no, you can do it.
And
And
it's
that's,
kind of negativity around you when people just try to tell you stuff like this. So how did you deal with it? I'm asking you this because many people, every second person who try to achieve his or her goal, such people come out, they pop out. You know, they try to pull the person down. So for them, what do you want to say to them? How to deal with such people?
so for them, I want to share my technique, and I used this negativity to my advantage.
Okay.
And the technique that I used, I call it public pledging. Public pledging is I went and announced to friends on social
Uh-huh.
media and otherwise I'm doing the Ironman. I announced it.
Okay.
Now, when I announced it, I had this kind of response which I told you, and a lot of people smirked at me. Some even laughed. So some, of course, were too polite not to do that. But I knew in their mind, from the expression on their faces, that you know they feel he can't do it. Now,
Yeah.
when I had announced it and I had this kind of response, I knew
Yeah.
that if I failed in my being able to do it, then
Yeah.
all these people would laugh at me and say, "See, we told you you can't do it." That you know he's just making plans, he's just talking big. So
Yeah.
I use that as a means to make sure that I trained hard enough and that I did not quit, because
Yeah.
if I had quit, these people would have laughed. So I use it to advantage, and I feel this technique, if you use, you know, of public pledging, it can go a long way to help you in your dream.
Definitely. Yeah. That's a huge tip to all the such people out there. So what's the Ironman training looks like? How do you train yourself?
Wow. that's the most difficult part, you know. So
Yeah.
in the Ironman training, there are two parts.
Okay.
One is the mental part. And mentally, first you have to convince yourself that yes, I can do it, I have the capability. Now, physical training is long because, like I said, 3.8 kilometers swim, an average person takes between 1 to 2 hours. Cycling, I told you, 180 kilometers, 6 to 7 hours of training is required.
Yeah.
And for a full marathon, between 4 to 5 hours. And this is of one item at a time. I'm talking one event. You have to do all three together. So the
Yeah.
training, I started my training. I'd never run, 42 kilometers in my life. The first day I ran 42 kilometers was in Austria in the event. I never even trained for 42 kilometers. I
My goodness.
restricted my training to only 35 kilometers.
Okay.
Swimming, I had never swum 3.8, but yes, I swam 3.8 twice before I went there. So I used to get back from work because I was working. The office was finished at 5:30 in the evening. Come back, change, and on the working days, that is the 5 days of the week, I would go running from 7 at night to 10 at night,
Yeah.
thrice a week. And twice a week I would swim, same timing. And Saturday night, when all my friends were partying and they had invited me and I had refused, I would go cycling at night because at night the traffic is less,
Yeah.
the sun is not there, so the heat is also slightly less, and you have to cycle on the road. So that was a better time for me to cycle. I would cycle from 2 o'clock at night to about 7, 8 in the morning, 9 o'clock.
No, because there
On
are
Saturday.
traffic issues in Delhi, heat, pollution, everything.
Yes.
It's really hard.
So those are the challenges. Those are the challenges you have to face, if you are training. There is no way you cannot cycle on the road because your 180 kilometers and the event is on the road.
So you are still into this field. So what's your diet is like? I mean, is there any cheat day or something, or you keep your normal food, or you follow any strict diet, or this keto, low carb, or anything?
No keto.
Okay.
But let me tell you, the first time when I was preparing, I was much more disciplined, and I followed a very, very strict diet, very, very nutritious diet. Lots of protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, some supplements, a lot of vitamin C, beetroot, coconut water, sweet potatoes. All these things help in endurance events. Now, when I did it for the second time, I became a little more casual. So, like you said, cheat days, there were more cheat days. I was even, going for a party once in a while. And the training, instead of 18 months, I trained only about 5 months. So, as you get more and more familiar with the event and familiar with your training, you can afford to take liberties. And that's what I did.
And in the second time, you broke your own record by 41 minutes, no?
Yes. I improved my time by 41 minutes. That's right.
Okay. So if we talk about that moment, okay, you have finished the race, triathlon race, and now you carrying the flag of your own country on your shoulders, and you have done it. Everyone is cheering you up. So what's that feeling? I mean, it's really, really hard to express it in words, that emotion, but still try to. I mean, we want to know, how does it feel like?
So to be honest with you, the first time when I did it, there had been so much of preparation and so much of build-up that I was actually numb probably when I finished, and the emotions were not really there. It was like, an anticlimax that suddenly it's over now. But when I did it the second time, I was very emotional because, I had improved my own timing, like you said, by 41 minutes.
Yeah.
And when I finished that event, I walked off to a side and, I was overwhelmed. I was like, almost like crying. Of course, I didn't let anybody see that. And then a few seconds there, and then I got back and met whoever I had to meet. So it is an emotional feeling, a lot of satisfaction and a lot of good feel good that you have managed to do what you were attempting to do.
Exactly. That's really, you cannot define even that emotion, to be honest. It's different. It's a different feeling, like top of the world, to be honest. Okay, so what's the next step? What's the next goal?
I want to do another Ironman, and I was to do it this year. I had earlier I was planning to go on a cycling ride around the world. But this COVID hit, and because of that, now I don't see that happening for another 2, maybe even more years. So then I thought I will do an Ironman, which was to be done, I had planned to do it in Sweden, Kalmar, and that happens in the month of August, which is now. But again, all events have got cancelled. I'm now waiting for the next event to start whenever it does. But I'm looking forward to doing a third Ironman now. And after that, when the situation improves and gets better, I will hope to do my cycling ride around the world, which is a 22,000 kilometer ride on cycle over 5 continents, starting from Delhi and getting back to Delhi.
Okay, wonderful. So is there anyone, any person who do you idealize in this field, or is there any inspiration?
Yes. So when I had found this event called the Ironman,
Yeah.
I found it on YouTube,
Uh-huh.
and I found this lady called the Iron Nun. She's a lady, practicing nun in United States called Sister Madonna.
Yeah.
And at the age of 48, she had been introduced to running. At the
Okay.
age of 52, she did her first Ironman.
Oh my
And
God.
thereafter, she went on to do 40 of them. So when I saw that video of hers, she also figured in the Nike, advertisement.
Uh-huh.
So when I saw her doing the Ironman that time, I think she was the age of 86 or something. I said,
Yeah.
wow, if she can do it, then
Yeah.
58 is hardly an age. I mean, I'm a youngster, and she's my true inspiration.
Okay. So if you talk about your personal life, even on your social media or in the events, I mean, your wife especially, she's been with you through thick and thin. Yeah, I mean, she was the biggest cheerleader during the Ironman. She was shouting. She was so happy. And even on the last day of your military journey, she got really emotional. I know she wrote this poem, and it was so beautiful. I mean, such things shows the beautiful bond you two share. So, was it a love marriage or an arranged marriage?
Yeah, it's when I was in the IMA,
Yeah.
Indian Military Academy, her father was the principal in the same academy.
Okay.
And that is where I met her. So I
Okay.
was all of 20 and she was 17.
Yeah.
And that's where our journey started. And we dated for 5 years till she
Uh-huh.
passed out of college. And I went up and told her dad that I want to marry your daughter. And of course, the usual stuff which happens. And we got married in 1986.
Yeah.
And it's been 34 years since then. And of course, like you said, we've been through it together through the thick and the thin.
Yeah.
And she was a real support, for this event also.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
she tolerated all this nonsense of mine of running at night 7 to 10, waking up in the middle of the night, going cycling, and
Yeah.
she would give me the necessary diet and stuff like that. So a big support, I would say.
To be honest, I think, and I personally feel that army wives are the strongest. That's true. That's true. That's the fact. Army wives are the strongest.
Yeah, probably the situation so demands it, the frequent moves and the field postings and all the challenges. So automatically it puts them into that kind of a mold where they have to stand as pillars of support.
Okay, so this is one more thing. I've seen many of your, fitness videos, be it your Instagram, your YouTube. There's so many. I mean, come on, you're doing 30 minutes plank challenge. When I saw
I
it, I was like, okay, is this person for real?
Today I've done 38.
My goodness, I'm still at 8 minutes.
And you'd be surprised that the first time when I did the plank during this lockdown,
Yeah.
I was down in 2 minutes.
My,
And I was upset because I had been doing 5 earlier and I
yeah.
had dropped to 2. And that's when I started working. And then I did a 10 and then I did a 22 and I did a 30. And today I've done 38.
My God. Even I follow you on social media, and when I see those videos, I just say this to myself, Ritu, Terya, ut kuch kar le. We'll have this Q&A session with you. Some questions are being designed by me, and some questions are being asked by your followers or people who look up to you. So these are the questions. Some are like choices and some are one word. So let's start, yeah? Okay, so cycle, polo, squash, or chess? You have to pick one.
Squash.
Okay. But you're so good at chess as well.
I'm better at squash.
Okay, I'm not going to play with you. Okay, so this is for all my friends and colleagues because they say that I play chess really well and this person defeated me so badly. So yeah, he's really good at chess. Circuit training or cardio?
Cardio.
Cardio, okay. Swimming or cycling?
Cycling.
Cycling. Okay, books or music?
Music.
Okay, you've done saxophone as well, no?
Yes, I have attempted saxophone and now I have been cut off for some time, but I'm going to restart.
Okay, okay. And you started singing as well, I guess. You learned singing, no?
I tried to sing,
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, I don't think I've been, given the gift of being able to, that what they call in Hindi as a sur. I think I lack that, but I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah, but you have that thing in your voice. I mean, the other day on your social media, I saw when you recited a poem of Harivansh Rai Bachchan. You know, it felt so real. I thought, okay, no. Then I read the caption and okay, it's your voice. So I was really shocked. Okay, now if a biopic is ever made on you, who actor do you think would do justice to your role or would fit into the role?
Vicky Kaushal.
Vicky Kaushal, yeah. Okay, so one tip for NB or SSB aspirants, or you can give more than one.
Well, a trip for those. I find that most people who go for SSB, they get moved out during the conferencing and during the interview part. So
Yeah,
the tip I want to give them is that what they are looking for when
yeah,
you go for an SSB interview is they want to see how genuine a person you are,
yeah,
and they want to see how positive you are in your approach. So
yeah,
a lot of people try and put up something which they are not. And because, probably they have been given some tutoring through coaching institutes. So my tip for them is be yourself and try and look at things in a positive manner. And to give you an example, if there's a glass of water which has water till half the level, well, you can say it is half full instead of saying it's half empty. So the
yeah,
answers are both correct, but one is a positive answer and one gives a feeling sense of a little negativity. So in any answer to whatever question you're asked in the interview,
yeah,
your thread should be of positivity always. You must try and come about as a genuine and a positive person. And confidence. When you speak, there should
yeah,
be confidence in what you are saying. Conviction should be there. And that will only come if you are well prepared. And when I say well prepared is you must know what you're going for. The fear is
yeah,
always of the unknown.
yeah.
So
Totally,
if these two
confidence is
things
the
to
key.
look at, sorry,
Totally, confidence is the key.
yes, yes.
Okay, so one tip that you would like to give to those who are eyeing to Ironman.
A tip to the people who want to do Ironman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I would feel that they before they take this decision to do Ironman,
Yeah.
they must evaluate the amount of time that has to be committed by them for the training.
Uh-huh.
There will be commitment in time, in energy, in money, and a
Yeah.
sacrifice has to be made in your social life, in your family life. So you will have to make sacrifices and you will have to make commitment, and it will take a lot of your energy and time. So once only if you feel you can devote that kind of energy and time, you should
Yeah.
attempt. Otherwise, you'll come out disappointed.
Totally. So this person is asking one good and one bad habit that you can't give up.
That you should not give up.
Yeah, that you cannot give up. You.
I can't give up.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I have got anything which I will call a bad habit. I will still call it
Okay.
a good habit. Others may say it's a bad habit.
Yeah.
So, well, like drinking.
Okay.
I drink only socially. I
Yeah.
drink, if there is an occasion to drink.
Yeah.
And when I was training for the Ironman, I gave up drinking for a certain period of 2-3 months towards when I was closer to the event. So
Okay.
if some people call drinking a bad habit, then
Yeah.
that's one habit I'm not going to give up. One good habit is, I think, to value people.
Okay. That's beautiful. All right. So, best remedy for anxiety.
Best remedy for
Anxiety.
anxiety.
Yeah.
Best remedy, deep
Yeah.
breath. Take a couple of deep breaths
Okay.
and talk to yourself. When you talk to yourself, you say, I can do it.
Yeah.
Or I have nothing to fear. So
Yeah.
when you talk to yourself, it works.
Okay. Your biggest regret, if there is any. Your biggest regret, if there is any.
Biggest regret.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Biggest regret is my biggest regret is that I should have, done Ironman much earlier. And by
Okay.
now I would have had much more opportunity to have done it again and again.
That's true. दो बात नहीं दे रहा है दुरुस्त है. Okay, so your biggest achievement and failure.
My biggest achievement is, I think I could prove to myself that I still have it in me when I went for the Ironman,
Yeah.
and I regained my self-esteem. So I feel that was my biggest achievement.
All right.
And my biggest failure, I think, is I am a little short-tempered. I fly off the handle very fast. I come down also very fast.
Is it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I have been, of course, I'm conscious about it, and where it matters, I try and be conscious about it. But I think that's my biggest failure.
But you look very calm and cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never judge a book by its cover.
Okay, how many hours a day do you work out?
Well, it depends on what the occasion is. If I am now like training for the Ironman, then I would be working out at least 3 hours a day. But if
And
you
in
take
general?
if you take a situation like now, I think
Yeah.
about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
And that's enough too. So, what's the secret ingredient in your diet? This person is asking, what's the secret ingredient of your diet?
Two things which I include daily in my food is chicken and eggs.
Yeah.
Breakfast and dinner.
Yeah, proteins. Okay. So this is a post-triathlon effect. So this person wants to say, when you finish the triathlon, because it's a huge, punishing event, like for 17 hours continuously, you are doing such hardcore physical activity. So how your body reacts post-triathlon?
Well, when I went for the first Ironman in our briefing, they told us, of course, it was in good humor, that if you have beer at the end of your event, you will recover faster.
Oh, okay.
And so in Austria, when I finished, the moment you finished, they had a stall lined up and they had beer out there.
Okay.
And I went and had 2 glasses of beer.
Okay.
But that's all in lighter vein. Otherwise, your body needs 3 months to recover. It needs 3 months to recover. So when I say 3 months to recover, I'm talking of you should not be doing another Ironman within 3 months. But otherwise, if you just talk of normal recovery, I think about a week's time, you are good to run again.
Still, that's a huge period. So now, sir, do you take any protein supplement? If yes, then tell me. This person is asking.
So tell this guy that protein supplements are only required when you are consuming more than what you can orally take. If I can't make up the amount of protein required in my body through my food, because the quantity then would be too much, then you need to go in for a supplement. So if that is his situation, then he should go for a supplement. It's not that you're not having the right kind of protein in your food, and instead of that you're picking up a protein supplement. That would not be advisable.
Okay, that's my personal question. If you're a vegetarian, people say that you are not able to take enough protein because you are a vegetarian, you don't eat eggs, you don't eat chicken. So in that condition, is it like necessary to have protein supplement or anything?
I would tell you to actually sum up the amount of protein you have in a day and what is your requirement.
Okay.
So it may be a myth to say that as a vegetarian, you can't consume enough protein. There are enough vegetarian, options available. Like avocados are very, very high in protein. And like I told you, sweet potatoes and stuff like that. So there are a lot of options available. You need to look at those options. They may not be easily available to you, but within your own gambit, whatever is available, if you were to do a bean count to say, okay, I need so much protein, but I'm getting only so much and so much is less, then surely go in for a supplement.
This was it. The question, okay, there's this one more question. Sir, do you think, did you ever think about joining Para SF Force? this guy is asking.
Well, whoever this guy is a smart chap, because, you know, I must tell him that in 1985,
Yeah.
I thought of opting for the special forces. That time it was, you know, the para commandos.
I guess
And
he's
yeah,
he's a defense aspirant only. I guess he's defense aspirant. He's running a defense page on Instagram, so he's asking. Yeah.
yeah. So in like I said, 1985, towards the end of that, I wanted to opt for para commandos because, you know, I thought maybe I'll get some thrill in out there. But it just so happened that when this process was still working in my mind, I got posted to Ahmed Nagar, which is the center and school of the Armored Corps. And I went there as an instructor at just about 4.5 years of service, which is a very prestigious appointment.
Yeah.
And now I had to weigh that if I am going there, either I stop going myself from going there and opt for the para commandos, or I go there and, you know, because it was a prestigious appointment, I tenated that. And that is where that moment got missed of my not having opted for the para commandos.
Oh, okay. This guys know you so well. Okay, so this was it. We have covered all the questions, all the Q&A. So now I just want to wish you, may you keep achieving so many Ironmans. We wish you all the very best for further achievements. May you keep making our country proud, and may you set more records, many more. So before we end this, there's a beautiful shade that comes to my mind for you, which goes like this. तू शाहीन है, परवाज है काम तेरा, तेरे आगे आसमान अभी और भी है, सितारों से आगे जहां अभी और भी है.
Thank you so much. Thanks. That's really nice.
For you, and for those who can't understand Urdu, it means that you are in eager and your job is to fly, and there's more sky for you, and there's more life beyond the stars. So this is the meaning. So thank you so much. It was so great to have you over virtually this time, and see you post pandemic, and cheers to you.
Cheers, and wish you all the best. Yeah.
Okay. See you. Take care, and all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.